I was a little bitty run of a fellow, weighed about 90 pounds or so. First time I ever heard the name Joe Boyd, my mama said it. She said, son, there's a gang in our neighborhood called the Britton Street Gang. She said, now, there's a fellow that's in charge of that gang, or one of the fellows in charge. He lives about 2 blocks from us. He walks by here sometime. His name is Joe Boyd. And she said, when you see Joe Boyd, if you ever see him, I don't care how far away he is, you run home as fast as you can. But I worshiped the guy. I did. He was my hero. People often ask me, Brother Hyles, you sort of spearheaded soul winning all through these years. Who taught you to be a soul winner? Brother Jesse Cobb did. And Brother Joe knew Jesse Cobb well. But who, Brother Hyles, besides Jesse Cobb, influenced you for soul winning? The answer is always Brother Joe Boyd. I was pastor of a little country church down in East Texas. And Brother Boyd moved his family from Dallas, 150 miles down to Marshall, Texas. And I was his pastor when I was just about 21, 22 years of age. He had 2 little children, Amy and Bubba. I'll never forget the Monday morning you came home from revival. Little Bubba was about 3 years old. He looked across the table and he said to you, I know who you are. You're Joe Boyd. And that's sort of the story of the whole thing. It's been that way all these years because Brother Boyd just kept on going. His wife is not well tonight. She's really had a struggle with her health. I knew her when she was young, just an older teenage girl. Knew her when she was in her 20s, one of the most beautiful women you ever met in your life. And there's no way I can say what Joe Boyd has meant to me personally. He just never stops. Keeps on going. He preached revivals for me in East Texas, and I was a kid preacher. And we went soul winning together every day of those revivals, and he sort of got me on the trail. He's never stopped. He's just the same Joe Boyd he was 40 years ago. His favorite song is At Calvary.
To me, there my burden soul found liberty at Calvary. Years I spent in vanity and pride, caring not my Lord was crucified, knowing that it was for me He died on Calvary. Mercy there was great and grace was free. Pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burden soul found liberty at Calvary.
Now I've given to Jesus everything. Now I gladly own Him as my King.
And now my raptured soul can only sing of Calvary.
As you drive out of Hyles Anderson College, there's the exit drive. Well, let's see what it's going to be called from now on, Brother Keith McKinney. And we're going to have always been known as Joe Boyd Lane. And this is the actual sign that'll be out there, Joe Boyd Lane. Then we'd like to have that portrait, Brother Keith, because we're going to put Brother Boyd's picture on the hallway and hallways of Hyles Anderson College. And let it hang there and let generations to come know there was a faithful man of God whose name was Joe Boyd. If there ever was a face that had character in it, it's that one right there. If there ever was one. If there ever was a man, and I know the guy, I know him well. If there ever was a man who's sincere, I believe it's Joe Boyd. But if I get to heaven and he's not there, I may not stay. I said I may not. And then, Brother Joe, you and Edith, or anyone you want to take with you, we're going to send you on a trip anywhere in the United States for a miracle weekend trip. United States, Mexico, Caribbean, Hawaii, or Alaska at our expense. And then tomorrow you'll be taken on a shopping trip, and they'll just outfit you good. And then I'd like to, I didn't write a poem for you, Brother Boyd, but somebody very dear to you wrote a poem for you. Stand up there, I'd like to read it to you if you don't mind. Stand up there, yeah. I didn't write this poem, but this poem was written by an old tent. This is what Joe Boyd's tent wrote. I gave the tent a little help along the way as it wrote the poem. I'm Joe Boyd's tent. Our love began when we were young, footloose and fancy-free. We courted across the Lone Star State, just dear Joe Boyd and me. He loved my flaps and pegs and poles. I loved his tender heart. Where'er he went through all these years, I always had a part. I often wondered why he chose to give me his first kiss. To all the strangers passing by, I was a homely miss. I saw this 10 times, I thought it sort of ugly myself. I know that I'm not pretty when judged by all the books, but I don't care what others think if Joe Boyd likes my looks. My brothers and my sisters all went to other fields. One went into circus work for monetary yields. Another chose to place his flaps with charismatic guys. I'd rather go into circus work myself. Another chose to place his flaps with charismatic guys. Another worked at county fairs. Another deemed it wise to give his life for carnivals and other worldly fun. But somehow, that was not for me. It was not my race to run. I gave my canvas all to God, his perfect will to know, and praise the Lord he called for me to work with Brother Joe. My great-grandfather served the Lord, for all his life was spent in service of our blessed Lord as Dwight L. Moody's tent. My daddy also felt the call, for 'twas his early choice to house the folk who came to hear old Billy Sunday's voice. I've seen Joe weep, I've heard him cry, I've watched him laugh and smile. For dear old Brother Joe and I have traveled many a mile. No words can tell the joy I have or know the peace I feel when snuggled in our traveling van with Joe Boyd at the wheel. I spent my life on vacant lots and weathered many a storm. Tornadic winds and hurricanes oft altered my poor form. But when the lightning struck at me and angry winds would blow, in fear I'd look through trembling flaps, and there was Brother Joe. He'd comfort me and calm my fears and keep me standing tall. His big old arms and shoulders broad would help me not to fall. And soon the morning sun would rise, and brightness filled the sky. I'd feel the warmth of Brother Joe. I really loved the guy. My brothers often laughed at me, those fancy circus guys. They thought me quite fanatical and said I wasn't wise to give my life to simple things like sawdust-covered aisles when I could be in county fairs with all its uptown styles. They'd ask me why I didn't go to those exciting towns to house exciting trapeze acts and pretty girls and clowns. But I'd just smile and tell them there's something they don't know, a piece of serving our great God and dear old Brother Joe. Sometimes I'd feel within my breast a little jealous tuck when Joe would preach inside a church and leave me in the truck. But we were joined in union by power from above. He ne'er preferred this pretty miss, 'cause mine was his first love. My flaps have wept a tear or two along the sawdust trail. When Brother Boyd would really preach and scream and rant and rail, I'd be so proud of my teammate, I'd feel his broken heart and thank the Lord for making me a very vital part. You know what? Perhaps I'm vain, but I can't help but feel that we, I mean the two of us, did something very real. I sort of think we did our part to keep our country free.